Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am finally interviewing a medical student from Messina. I'm going to be talking to Fares. Fares, thank you so much for joining us and doing this. Could you give
Yeah.
a brief introduction to yourself?
Thank you for having me, first of all. Okay, my name is Fares Ayman or Fares Taha, whatever you like. I have like six names, so whichever you pick. Basically, I'm 21 years old. I'm Egyptian and I live in here in Messina from 3 years old. So I'm third year, but I just finished. Yeah, basically, that's it. I did the IMAT 3 years ago, and now I'm here to give you a brief summary about Messina and how life is here. Like how if you'd ever want to come here or not, I think this is the right place to be.
Cool. So I guess let's get right into it. What I'm curious about to start with is what are your timetables like? Like starting from preclinical, how it changes in clinical, what's your daily schedule like?
Okay, so before coming here, just for starters, I did not pick Messina. Basically, what happened is I did not get the score that I wanted. My first choice was Sapienza, but I didn't get it, and I ended up finding that Messina had free spaces, and they like created a bando in which you can apply to it, and then you can just get in with your IMAT score. Like it doesn't have to be specifically your first choice, and that's the only reason why I'm here. So I came here unaware of everything. A funny fact, actually, when I got accepted here, and then I wrote on Google Maps Messina, and then it used to get me to Sicily, and I'd do this thing, I'd zoom out, and I'd go to Italy, to the mainland, looking for Messina. Where's Messina? And
You
it's
didn't
like
realize it
something
was on
was
an
wrong.
island?
No, I had no clue that Messina is in Sicily. I was unaware of this. But yeah, that's it. The timetable, as far as I know, and like compared with other universities, it's pretty much the same. So it's the same subjects, it's the same modules. For example, you start with the preclinical where you do like histology, anatomy two, like the body organs and all this. You get the muscles, the skeletal system, genetics. You know the basics of the preclinical years. And then, in my experience, what happened with me is that following this second year, in the third year, we started doing a lot of clinical. And at the end of the day, it also so there is the clinical and the timetable, of course, and there's the clinical that depends on you. Because so if you're interested at some point, you can just go up to the professor and talk to them like, oh, prof, listen, I would like to, for example, if you're interested in cardiology, you can go to the cardiology department and ask the professor that you're interested, and they will assign you to a doctor for you to shadow. And it's just, in my opinion, this is brilliant. So part of it
But
is,
how does
yeah.
your, like, from first year, like, what time do you start at? Do you have a lunch break? What time does the day end at? Are
Oh yeah,
you, like,
yeah,
required to
okay.
do
So
self-study? Like, yeah, I want to know about, like, your class times and your academic calendar before we move on to, like, clinical experience.
oh sure, sure. I just got
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's
I
perfect.
drifted away. So basically, the before it used to start from 9 and used to end at like 4, if I'm not wrong. But then each subject, like the credit hour, increased from 10 hours to 12 hours. So each credit now, instead of holding only 10 hours, it holds 12.5. So it became really brutal. I don't know about other universities, but you start at like 8:30, and you finish at 5,
That's a
and you
really
get
long day.
only, yeah, yeah, it is. And each class is 2 hours and a half, and you get only 1 hour of break between one and two.
Do you know why
So
they did
it's,
this switch? Because that is very, very
yeah, yeah,
long.
yeah, yeah. I just explained. So before it used to be normal hours, in my opinion, 9 to, I don't know, 4, 3:30. I don't really remember. But then each subject instead, because each subject has a certain number of credits,
Yeah,
and
but do you
each
know the
credit.
reason why? Like, do you know why they did this change, or was it just
Oh,
to?
the change of the no, I absolutely have no idea. Like out of the blue, they just told us, listen, this is how it's gonna be, and this is the timetable. So at some point, in my opinion, it's really difficult because all of us live in the center. So if you think of Messina, I think I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but it's important for the context. So if you think of Messina, it's like the polyclinical is really far away from the center, and the area where the polyclinical is not somewhere where you want to live. You know, it dies at night. It has absolutely no nightlife. There's absolutely no bars. It's
What's the
dead.
name of your hospital? Just so I can pull up a map and show people.
Policlinico G Martino, like just right at Santa G Martino, something like that. You find it right away.
Cool. So,
So yeah,
I have it
so
open
most
here.
of us, tell me.
No, it's fine. So, okay, so I can see the map right here, and it's outside of Messina city center.
It is, it is. It's down in the map, you can see.
Yeah, I mean, you can't
Okay,
see it, but
so
people can see it, so.
yeah, so that's not really a nice area. Even when you're
Okay.
here, you can clearly see that this is not a nice area. So all of us, we live in the center. So for you to get to class on time, you really have to wake up early.
Okay.
Like like some people go extreme hours. I can just like, because some people like to go to class at like 8, chill a bit, and then start the lesson. But for me, like being there at 8:30 is okay. So I wake up at like 7:30. You get ready super quick, and you go and you grab the bus. And now it depends really on your luck whether the bus is working today, it's not working today. It's really a gamble, I would say. So the bus takes like 20 minutes, and then after all this, you need to like walk for 10 more minutes to get to class.
Okay.
So the bus stop is like 20, like 10 minutes away from class. So like the classes start at 8:30, but you really have to start getting prepared early, you know. And for example, the professors are not really that, and that makes sense. They expect you to be punctual. So if you're not punctual, most of the times they don't let you in, and attendance is mandatory. So you end up, for example, I've had some friends losing the chance to take the exam just because they had no attendance.
Yeah, it's the same in Sapienza though. Like if a professor checks and you don't have enough attendance, you're not allowed to sit the exam. That's technically the law for all of Italy, but it's up to the university whether they enforce it or not. But so like these days are insanely long. Like starting that early, finishing that late, only having 1 hour break. Is this something that's like safe to preclinical years? Like how does this change when you move to clinical?
If I'm not wrong, it's the same. Actually, in clinical, it's even worse because, so for example, if you're in preclinical, you have a fixed timetable. The classes end at this time, and you can get to go home. But certain times, and this happened to me a lot. For example, if we're having, most of the times it's from 2:30 to 5, you have a lecture, and if this lecture is a TA training activity where you get to go to the ward, sometimes it just extends. Sometimes because it's a most times it's in a clinical case, there's a surgery, something like that happens. So it's not a fixed timetable. Something out of the blue might come up that forces you to stay for longer. So in clinical years, actually, it's actually worse because you get to start really super early.
Wow.
But looking at the bright side, if you're having a training activity in the morning, you don't have to be there at 8:30 because it starts a bit late. Like
Okay.
no one, not a single professor, not a single doctor wakes up at 8:30 to start work. So that's a good thing at least. Otherwise, yeah, I'd say everything is the same between clinical and preclinical. Apart, like the timetable wise, from the time you start to the time you end, it's the same.
Very long days. And how does your academic calendar work? Like, when do you have classes? When do you have exams? Do you get multiple attempts? What's the modality of exams? Let's talk everything to do with exams.
Okay, perfect. So I'd assume it's like the academic year is like all other universities where you start from like maybe the beginning of October, okay, till like December. The end of December we get to have your Christmas break, and then following this you have an exam session, which is the winter session. It usually lasts from January till the end of Feb, if I'm not wrong. In addition to this one, most of the times we get an extraordinary exam session at the end of December. So think of it as like you have an exam session in December, an exam session from Jan till the end of Feb. Okay? And that's super cool. Technically, the one in December should not be there, but they always allow it. Always.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's a
it's
good
it's
thing.
for to allow students an attempt if you're behind on your subjects.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not
Yeah.
guaranteed. So like I think this is important to point out because whenever I'm talking to Sapienza students in first year as well, they're like, "Oh, I'll just sit it in December next year." And I'm like, "Those sessions are not guaranteed. Like if the professor is nice, they will do it, but like you can't count on
Exactly.
it."
Theoretically they're not, there shouldn't be actually, like it shouldn't take place, but most of the times they allow it. Like from the time I joined the university, we never had a session where like an extraordinary session that wasn't allowed. So that's a good thing, but again, just to make it clear, it's not guaranteed. Following this, you like finish by the end of March. You get a very short break if you decided to like take the last call, let's say, because each exam session has 3 calls. I don't know if you have the same thing in Sapiens or not, but we have like 3 calls. Starts in the beginning, in the middle, and then at the end of Feb. And then the semester starts right away, like let's say the first 10 days of March usually. So if you decided to take the exam by the last call, you don't really get much of a break, like maximum of 2 weeks. And then you start the second semester where it starts from like March, ends at the end of June, okay? And then you no, it ends like by the like by the end of May, mid-May, around that time. And at this time you start the summer session, okay, which lasts from basically the beginning of June till the end of July. Like I just finished my last exam yesterday, so and we're in like 23rd of July, so my last exam was 22nd. Just to add to this again, it's not guaranteed, but there's an extraordinary session that can be in May. Okay, so you get an extraordinary session in December, you get an extraordinary session in May, and you get the 2 main sessions, which is the winter one from Jan to Feb, and the summer one from June, July. Then you go for a summer break, and you come back in September. You have another session, which is usually composed of 2 calls in September, and then you start the semester, and the cycle goes and goes and goes.
Yeah, so it's pretty classic for all the public schools. You have 6 to 7 dates that are guaranteed, then you might have the extraordinary ones. And what about the modality of your exams? Are they oral? Are they written? Are they mixed? Can you reject your grades?
Okay, that's a very good question because again, for some reason, things are different from the time I actually came here. Like from the time I was in the first year, things are completely different. When I hear people talking to me about it, it's absurd, really. So usually this what used to happen. Most of the exams are oral. Most of them are oral, but sometimes some professors just decide to have a mixed thing where they give you a written exam, and then they ask you about this written exam. So it's most of the times, at least this is what I've seen, it's multiple choice, and then you end up getting asked about the multiple choice, and they ask you about the stuff that you got wrong. Most of the times they're really chill about it because they know you're wrong and you don't understand this, so they want to address whether did you just make this mistake because you missed something or you actually have a lack in your understanding. They usually just address it, explain it to you, and you're off to go. Some others just do a written exam, but like from what I've seen, most of the times it's when a subject is really not that important. So if you have a big module, for example, bioinformatics, statistics, and then physics, one of them will decide to have a written exam, and the other two will decide to have an oral exam. You get me? And then you just end up having the average of the 3 of them. So it can be mixed, it can be just oral, it can be just written. So it really depends on the professor. The thing about rejecting the grade, and this is what's really, I'd say it's weird, because technically, again, according to the law, once you take a grade, you have to accept it. Okay, so this is how it goes. If right now you're examining me, and I feel that I'm at some point I'm just messing up, okay, in my head, I should be able to decide to stop. As a prof, I'm sorry, I think I'm not doing well. I think I should stop this exam. Okay, again, this is how legally it should go. Okay, and at this point you would get to try again later. However, if you don't stop in the middle, if you don't like consciously make the decision that you're doing bad and you need to stop, and they end up giving you a grade, according to law, you have to accept it. You don't have the chance to reject it.
That's
Okay?
weird because like for us, we get our grade and then the professor asks us, "Are we happy?" And then we can say no, and then they just like cross it out.
Yeah,
And
yeah, 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 yeah. I just decided to start with what theoretically should be
all right,
happening.
okay.
You know, in our university, and I've never experienced such thing. At least for me, they always allow me to reject the grade. If I don't like I rejected so many grades in my life. I repeated a single exam 4 times just because I keep rejecting the grade. But for some reason, out of nowhere, the professors decided to stop doing this thing, and not all of them. It's just 2 specific professors. They really just decided to stop this, and every time anyone doesn't pass or anyone is doing bad, they would stop them in the middle. So and be like, I don't think you're doing good. If you want to stop, I think you should stop now, because if I give you the grade, you have to accept it. So this is very recent, and it's really only two
That's
professors.
that's
All the
interesting.
others allow it. The rejection thing, all the others allow it, and all of them ask if you're happy with it. And they always make this joke: if you get a good grade, they're like, "Are you happy with it?" And they give you that smirk smile. So yeah, but apart from these two specific professors I'm talking about, it's really no one else, and the rest are just chill. If you wanna, actually, they get happy when you decide to decline the grade, because it shows that you really wanna improve in the subject or whatever, and they remember you the next time.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, apart from these two specific professors, I do like the rest are okay.
Okay. And so usually Italy does lack a lot of practical experience, especially compared to countries like, I don't know, the UK and US. But how does practical activities work in Messina? Like, do you guys have preclinical years and then you have clinical years, or do you start doing some sort of practical activities in your preclinical years? Can you like give me a overview of everything to do with being on the wards and stuff?
Okay. So in the preclinical years, and specifically the first and the second, um, we never had any kind of actual clinical experience. But what we had was, the doing a CPR, how to use a
Yeah, basic life
defibrillator.
support, BLS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, ALS. And basically that was it. Nothing else. We didn't get deep into anything. We also just learned how to give an injection, and that was it in the first 2 years. But then in the third year, and unfortunately, third year was we had ton of clinical experience, but I can only give you from a COVID point of view, because I never had the chance
Yeah,
to
it's
experience things when they're
unfortunate.
normal. Yeah. So we used to go always, but in very small groups, and this is why I believe it was amazing, because it felt super direct. It felt like the professor just wants you like to know about this. He specifically has you for this case, and then most of the times it's a case that he taught us in class. So it just things really make sense and sticks to your mind. It's brilliant. I remember, for example, we used to watch a lot of surgeries, and during the surgery they would stop and they would explain what they were doing. Of course, we never actually intervened, because like, we're not allowed to. But we would be inside the operating room, and they would be talking to us about everything and why we'd be doing this, and like, remember when we saw this in class, and this is that. Remember when we saw the X-ray, and then they actually keep relating theoretical stuff to the practical stuff, and I think this is super cool. Only one time I got the chance to. You get to palpate the patient, of course, and all this, like the general inspection, they allow you to do so. If there is any ultrasound examination, you're also allowed to do so. They teach you, of course, again, this depends really on the professor. Like some are just bad, honestly. So bad in the sense that they're not bad. They don't lack the knowledge, but it's like they don't have the patience, I would say.
I mean,
You know
not all good doctors are good teachers, unfortunately. But
exactly.
but like what I kind of want to know is how is it integrated into your timetable? Like, is there a certain number of hours you have to do? Do you have a dedicated day of the week? Do you have certain hours you have to do in each department? Do you have like signatures to collect? Like, how is the clinical experience structured and built into your timetable?
Okay, so in the timetable, again, theoretically, you just have, it's not like a specific day where you have just clinical activities. It's really random. Like you can have, because it's very close to, like, we're all in the polyclinical. So your class is in the polyclinical, the cardiology department is the polyclinical, it's 2 steps away. So the whole thing is that you have the lecture, and then the next lecture might be a clinical activity. You just never know. It's, in my opinion, it's super unorganized, because at some point you get to ask the professor, Prof, I want to leave early because I have a clinical activity. I want to be there on time. And sometimes, if it's the clinical activity is before, as I told you earlier, sometimes it extends a little bit, and then you miss a little bit of the lecture. So the fact that it's not really on the, like, it's mixed lectures and clinical activities makes it hard to actually try and find a compromise. And we actually proposed to our class representative one day that maybe they should talk to our coordinator in order to make the timetable in a sense that a day is specific for a clinical activity, another day is specific for lectures, so that we don't like be living in this, because it's at some point it's a panic mode, you know. You're moving from this building to this building, you're running from this building to this building, which you want to change your scrubs, and then you want to change back to your normal clothes. A it's a bit hectic, I would say. But I don't know. It would be super much better if it's like single days, as you said. But unfortunately, this is how it is, and you just have to manage with it.
Okay. So, I mean, you do have integrated clinical experience anyway, and you said it starts in third year. And I mean, I don't know, it sounds kind of nice that the professors and doctors like always related to something you saw in class instead of, because like sometimes for us, like we might go into a surgery or whatever, and one of the professors there might have not taught us that class. So it'll just be random. They'll just be like, oh, and now we're doing this thing and we do this because of this, but they're never like, and we saw this in class and what happens if, you know what I mean? Like it's never strictly related
it's
to.
never a follow-up kind of situation.
Like sometimes,
I
but
get
very,
you, I get
very
you.
rarely follow up. Like for us, it's, yes, sure, sometimes, but not most of the time. So I think that's actually a really, really nice aspect. So the final question I kind of want to, not the final question, but one of the questions I kind of want to ask to do with practicals is, do you do cadaver dissections?
No. I actually heard they only do this in Bologna.
They don't. I just ask this in every interview because I want to dispel this truth. I've interviewed students from Bologna, and Bologna, if you are sent to the States to do this like tutoring course, you can become a anatomy tutor, but it's never the students who get to do the dissection. None of the universities do the dissection. I just ask it in every interview so that students can see that there is no special university that does it.
This is very deceiving. My whole life I've thought Bologna, they always carry the sections.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, so they do prosections, but a few universities do prosections. And a prosection is when the anatomist does it and they prepare everything and then you get to go in and see it. But prosections aren't that special. A lot of universities do it. But no, like in Bologna, you have the opportunity, if you have excellent grades and you get trained, that you get to be a student tutor and you aid the anatomy professor in preparing the prosection, but there is no generic students get a dedicated body in which they get to carry out a dissection. That's a complete myth. That doesn't exist. So... No, it's like literally I asked that question and every time someone says yes, I like, wait a minute, and I'm like, okay, do you mean a group of students get their own body and they get to do their own dissection? And they're like, oh, no. And I'm like, okay, that's what I thought. Like, I always have to like give them a minute.
But you know, I would never, to be honest, I would never expect it to be a real dissection. I think it's too much, you know? I think it's really over the limit for such a medical student, specifically in preclinical years, to be able to do such things.
No, but I mean, like, I've like, this is a whole different conversation, but a lot of universities are moving away from dissections because they're not actually beneficial. They're kind of, I think a lot of high school students just think of the idea of doing a dissection is cool and that it's helpful, but they don't actually realize that when you do the dissection yourself, you like destroy a lot of the structures that you kind of want to see because you're not trained. It doesn't help in any sort of surgical or practical skills because usually the cadaver is preserved in formaldehyde, which completely changes structural anything. So there's actually absolutely no benefits to doing a dissection, and a lot of universities around the world are completely removing it from their curriculum, including the UK. So, but like you always still have high school students being like, no, it's a beneficial, it's a mandatory part. We have to do dissections, and it's like you really don't, like you really don't. But
yeah, I completely agree with this. I always thought that the better alternative is actually having the organ itself in front of you.
Yeah.
Like a mannequin thing, kind of thing, where you get to see every part of the organ, but it's not like on a cadaver kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But, I mean, like we do an autopsy experience, which is basically that, like they actually open up the person and you take out every organ and weigh it and open it and look for pathologies. But that isn't a dissection. That's like the hospital pathologist just carrying out an autopsy as a part of their job. And as students, we get to like go in and assist. But like that's separate from a dissection. So don't feel bad that Messina doesn't have dissections. Nowhere does.
No, I'm okay with no dissections. It's okay. Like
Uh,
we have other way cool stuff. Like I'll just say this super quick. We had this so two patients. Unfortunately, they died of COVID, and it was they were organ donors, and they were sent to the hospital to the surgery unit. And basically, my friends were super lucky. Unfortunately, I was not there, and they got to see literally every organ in the body getting dissected and getting ready for like
that's
organ
cool.
transportation. It was crazy. Like they showed us pictures of hearts, lungs, kidneys, everything you'd expect. It's amazing.
Cool. So just to kind of move more to the admin side of things, do you know what the average tuition fees are and what kind of scholarships are available to international students?
Okay, so talking about international students specifically, we all get to pay 750 euros.
So it's a flat
That's
fee
it.
of 750.
Yeah, it's a flat fee. Like unlikely the Italians, for example, they get to pay according to their ISE, and the ISE is basically an evaluation of your family income. Okay, so all the Italians get to pay according to their ISE, but like for example, us, like non-Europeans specifically, or actually international students in general, they don't have to pay according to the ISE. They just pay a fixed fee of 750 euros. When it comes to the scholarships, um, so there are scholarships that are given by an association that's called ERSO Messina, and there are scholarships that are given by the university itself. The Borso di Studio, which is the studying scholarship, it's given by the ERSO, and it depends on your grades and how many credits you have. So the higher your grades and the higher your credits, the more likely you are to get this scholarship, as well as the lower your ESA, which is your family income again. So this one depends really. Actually, I'm sorry, I should have started with this. All scholarships depend on your ESA. It doesn't matter if you're European, non-European, Italian. It doesn't really matter. All of them depend on your ESA. The lower the ESA, the more likely you are to be probable to take the scholarship. While the Borsa di Studio, which is the one for the studying, it depends again on the grades and on the credits. So if we're both in the same university, because the spots are limited. So if we're both in the same university and you have better grades than I do, you're gonna take the scholarship, while I won't. On the other hand, there's other scholarships from the university itself, and it's there's one called Casa Unime, which is to help students pay for their rent, because most of the students that come here are not actually from Messina, and they're Fori Corso, which is outside of their no, not Fori Corso, Fori Sede,
Yeah,
which is
47.
outside
Yeah.
of their course, outside of their
Hometown.
what do you say? Yeah, exactly. So that's it. They get paid like a good actually amount of money, but again, it depends on your ISA. There are other scholarships depending of, for example, these you can help the secretary of the university, and at this point, because you're working like a part-time job, so they give you money. I don't know if you would consider this as a scholarship or not.
It is. We have the same
Uh,
thing here. Like you have to earn the opportunity to work for the university, but then they like pay you for it.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
you, and they pay you good. But again, the payment is according to the ISA. As like the lower your ISA is, the more you get paid. The higher your ISA is, the less you get paid. But yeah, that's it. At least these are the ones I'm aware of, or at least these are the ones that are actually the most beneficial. The rest you really have to put in the work. Um, yeah, that's it for the scholarships. I'd say there's no more into.
Yeah. I mean, I like 750 is such a beautiful low flat fee. So kind of you said that they're like for the international students and the Italian students. So are you guys a good mix? Like what is kind of the variety in your class? Do you have different nationalities, different ages? What are your general class dynamics like? Like do you guys get along? Are you collaborative?
Okay, that's a great question, because I've heard a lot of stories about the fact that the Italians separate themselves from
Oh
the
no.
foreigners. Come on, like we all know about this. We all know that some people suffer from this. But in my opinion, what happened with us was really I don't know why, but of course it's at the beginning it started that all the Italians were just grouped together and just talking together and all that. But it's like step by step we all became one group, and we like the Italians with us, like it was a mixed group. There was no such thing as the Italians and the others, so that was great. However, I think this is not the case in all universities, and it might not even be the case in other classes in Messina as well. It might, but just be a case of us. I am not aware of this. Unfortunately, I've never met any of the second years. I've never met any of the first years. It's just, or like a very few of them, all because of COVID. So it's just been us all the time. So I really can't give my opinion about the other classes. But in general, yeah, we're a good group. And like most of us that are not Italians, so me myself, I'm Egyptian. There's a lot of people from Israel, like really a lot of people from Israel. You'd find people from Turkey a lot, Cyprus, Irish people are a lot. We have some English people, which was very, very, like, it was surprising to be out. Yeah, I know, you see.
Well, I don't understand why it's surprising. I think it's pretty normal. No, I don't know.
English people in Italy, why?
why,
Most of,
why,
at least
why not the English? I don't understand
No, but
the.
at least to me, it's surprising. I've never met an English person in Italy at all. Never,
That's so
never.
random. This is the randomest thing I've ever heard. Like, I don't know.
Have
We
you ever
have
met an
lots.
English person in Italy?
Yes.
Well,
I
you live in Rome. You're different. It
okay,
doesn't
but like
apply to
I
you.
don't know. I think English people in Italy is quite normal. I mean, I would be more surprised of Irish people in Italy, like because England's bigger and Ireland's so much smaller, if anything.
I don't know like the fact that I actually never looked into it. All I know is that I don't think English people will ever be coming to
This
Italy
is
anytime
this is
soon.
the randomest like particular comment I've ever heard in my life. Like, why would English people not be in Italy? I don't understand the logic behind it. Like,
I don't know. It just sounded weird to me. But all I know is that now there will be no English people in Italy after what happened in the Euros. So that's
oh
it.
my god, not the football. Not talking about the football game. Okay, but like,
No, come on. Football has to come into it. But yeah,
okay.
other than that, like you'd find people from everywhere. Really,
What
Spanish
about
people,
age
Italian.
groups?
Age. Yeah. Okay. So technically, I'm the youngest in my class. This is how I'd put it, and I'm 21. The rest are really just more. The average I would say is 22, 23. Okay, but some people are just like you'd find them outside of the spectrum. Like you'd go for 27, you'd go for 28. We have a classmate that's 36. But most of these people, it's not like they were not doing anything with their lives. Like most of them, they have masters in something else. We have one of our classmates. He has masters in cybersecurity. The other has in biochemistry. The other has in pharmacology. Like they all have a background that at some point led them to medicine, or maybe at some point they just decided to change their minds. You know, some of them were in the military, stuff like that. So the age group, I'd say, it's either you're very young or you're on the old side of the spectrum. The middle part is really not there. Like you wouldn't find people 25, 26. It's not. It's like
Yeah.
either 22, 24, or
It's the same for us. I mean, I don't know. We're pretty well distributed from young to I would say older, but I think that's kind of nice about the Italian course. Like doing medicine in Italy because I quit my job in Facebook at like 23 to start medicine. So I was actually really, really afraid that I was going to start and all of my classmates were going to be like 17 and I was going to be much older. So it's actually really nice going into like a more mixed group with people who have studied before or who went to the military. Like, I don't know, like personally, I really liked having this like variety of ages.
yeah, it puts you into perspective. It really puts you into perspective. It makes you see that there's other things to do. There's like the world is just not like finishing high school, going to studying, and
Yeah.
it's I don't know. It's to me it's humbling at least,
What
because
is. Oh, sorry. Go
no,
on.
tell me, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask. So, since like it's so mixed as well, what is your collaboration like? Like, do you guys collaborate with the years above and the years below? Are you helpful? Do you share resources? Like, how is your general like resource sharing, and how do the professors
Uh,
contribute to resources?
okay, so to start with, there are no upper classes because we're the first ones.
Oh, I never even thought of that. Of course.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to say when I told you that we never met the second years and the first
Yeah, I
years,
was wondering why you didn't talk about the years above. I was like,
because there are no years above.
I didn't even think of that. Okay, sorry. That makes so much sense now because I was in the back of my mind. I'm like, okay, but like, do you not know any of your people above you? Like,
No,
okay,
it's just no, but it's really like I'm this is sad because so what happened is we came here first year and then we went to the second year and in the second year the COVID thing started. Okay, when the new first years were still coming, so we never really got to meet them, and then we like COVID, like we spent the whole second year through COVID, and then the whole third year through COVID. So and no one came back because you have the dual modality thing. So we never saw the first years and we never saw the second years. So it's always just been us, you know. But sharing with the resources, we have this drive, okay, where it's handled by one of our classmates that literally has everything. So, for example, if I studied a certain subject and I have like, bulletproof notes, I would put them on the slide, on the drive. You would find this common. Of course, not everyone is willing to help. It depends on the person. So some people might have their own notes and they would not share it. Others would have their notes and they would share it. But I would say that the mentality is leaning more towards the fact that people are sharing. And this, like the link for this drive is on every group, so everyone has access to this drive. You would go on there. This is not supposed to be happening, but we record the classes, and you'd go on this drive and you would find all the lectures recorded and like they classified year one, year two, year three, and you can just go and find your thing with the dates and everything. So I would say that the sharing mentality is amazing. When it comes to that's between the students. When it comes to the professors, again, it's never black or white. It's always gray. So you have certain professors that are willing to help. They make amazing slides. They share it, and you have these professors that walk in. They go like, "It's this book. Figure it out yourself," And for some reason, they don't want to give you the slides, or their slides are just it's all over, and you don't get what's going on, and like you really it's never black or white. It's
yeah.
really always in the gray zone. It depends on
Over
the professor.
Overall, though, would you say that you're happy with the quality of the professors and their level of English?
On the level of English, yes, I'm super satisfied. At the beginning when I came, however, like when I first arrived in Italy in the first years, it was really bad because I think this is the reason. Because we were the first years and it was the first time they're having an English course. So they really weren't sure about the levels of the professors, just like me coming up to you like, can you speak English? I was like, yes, I can speak English, a few words. And they just shoved them up to teach us. But apparently with time, the professors that we all had complaints about, they were actually substituted with others. So like I think it makes sense what I'm trying to say is like it was a trial kind of thing. It's like they figured out that this professor was incapable, or maybe himself, he decided that I'm not capable of teaching this course, so he decided to pass it on to someone else who's more capable. Most of the times they would get us professors from outside. Like a lot of times we had some not professors, like doctors, or like I don't know how I would classify them, but it's not like, for example, we get a lot of professors from Pavia, but they're not teaching in the University of Pavia. I don't know if this makes sense.
Oh, they're like graduates?
I'm not, I don't know. Most of the times they're doctors, they're surgeons or whatever, and this they teach. You know,
Interesting. Yeah.
so they come from like I don't know. We have a lot of international professors that say international in a sense they're all Italian, of course, but international say they in a sense that they're moving around a lot. Like one of our professors was like working in a hospital in Dubai, and then he moved on to work in Pavia. From Pavia, he went to Bologna. From Bologna, he went there, and then at some point he started working in Spain. And then now he's working in Messina. You never like it's amazing because all of them speak perfect English. Okay,
Okay.
but at least this is in the third year. Second year as well, I think they speak very good English. But the experience I had with bad level of English was in the first year, and I don't think it's the case anymore. However,
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay, but overall, you're happy, basically.
Yeah, I'm super up to
And
this
I think it
actually.
kind of
Like,
shows that the course is trying to improve with every year. If they're like substituting teachers and stuff, if they're replacing them, I think it kind of shows that the university does have your best interest at heart if they're like trying to actively improve the course every year.
oh yeah, 100%. Like I'm super aware of that. However, they still like they
Yeah,
block
it's
some
still,
stuff that we always try to do. One thing that I can genuinely see that they're trying to improve all the time is the exchange programs. So when I first arrived here, there was no. I'm sure you're aware of Erasmus, which is like exchange program between
yeah.
European countries.
We
Also,
have
there's
videos
other
about
like
it actually, so I'll link that. I'm
uh,
just, for people who
that's
are
amazing.
watching, I'm going to link the videos for everything to do with Erasmus. But yeah, go on.
No- Okay, so when I first arrived here, there was absolutely no collaborations between our course and any other university that like I couldn't apply for Erasmus. It was not possible. But now you would find like there's really loads of them. You'd find in Portugal and Spain and Bulgaria and Croatia everywhere. You know, well, of course the level of the university is not the highest level, but at least I have options. You get me?
Yeah.
Apart from this, like they have some collaborations with the extra European countries. So you can go to Egypt, you can go to Morocco, you can go to Tunisia, you can go to Lebanon. I think like you guys also have this as well. Uh, the one that's mind blowing in my opinion, and I love it, is we have exchange programs with the Mayo Clinic and Japan.
Yeah. But this is through CISM or this is through the university?
This is through the university. CISM is something else. We also have CISM, of course. So add up to all this CISM. Like keep in mind that this wasn't here when I first arrived. So I can see the improvement in the course. And I would, sometimes I think about it and I feel so unlucky that I was one of the first people to arrive here. Because let's say I arrived 5 years later, I would have taken the best things out of this course, you
Yeah. I
know?
mean, you can't cry over spilt milk, you know? Like at least you're helping
Exactly, exactly.
improve the course
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah, yeah, yeah.
later students. And
This is, I'm super happy we're doing this.
what about the teaching facilities? Like what about the quality of like your lecture halls, available libraries, 24-hour libraries, laboratories, anatomy models? I don't know. Like what about
Uh,
the quality of the teaching facilities and libraries? What are they like?
um, okay. Unfortunately, this is a very bad. This is in my opinion, this is the worst side when I come to talk about studying in Messina, because unfortunately the facilities are not there. Like, I can say they're non-existent. I can say it.
Like
You know.
non-existent as in libraries or as in like labs or
So no, no. Okay, so labs are there, but for example, I've never been to one because I'm not really interested in research that much. But we've been proposed. Like, if you want to come to my lab, if immunology, we've been proposed. We did clinical medicine as well. We've been proposed to go to the labs. Me personally, I was never interested, but I was specifically talking about the fact of the presence of the studying facilities, the self-study facilities. So we have this. We have a library in the polyclinic itself, which is super small. I would say, like it can barely take 30 people. That's for starters. Okay, it's really not that equipped, so you would not see a lot of sockets around. So, for example, everyone these days is relying on their laptop. So if I don't have a socket, really, I really can't get my work done. You know, that's one. Apart from this, as I told you earlier, the polyclinic is really far away. You don't want to be taking this trip every single day. Specifically in exam sessions, if you want to do something quick, you want like 10 minutes a trip to wherever I'm going, and then I'm sitting down and I'm studying. But the polyclinical is it's like it takes time to get there. You have to wait for the bus, take the bus, and walk up there. And then apart from this, when you're up there, there's no like bars, cafes, all this. There's just a machine. So it's not convenient studying environment, I would say. Okay, unless you go with all your stuff, unless you go with lunch, dinner, snacks, water, everything, you'd be covered. You'd actually be, it would be amazing. But again, the one in the polyclinical, it closes super early. So it closes at like, it opens at like 9:30, it closes at like 4:30. And again, we both know that in an exam session, most of us go like in extreme measures. You get studying for super late.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we all end up going to the law library, which is in the city center. because it starts from like 8 till 12 a.m. We don't have a 24-hour library, by the way. So it
Oh, wait,
starts
wait,
from
but
8 a.m. till
so
12.
you do have, so I don't know why, but in my mind when you were saying this, I thought the entire university only had this one library with 30 seats. But so you do have other universities and
No, we
libraries.
have multiple. We have multiple.
Ah, okay, so you do actually
We have
have
multiple.
student facilities, even though they're not specific
Yeah,
to the medicine department.
but like I've been to Rome. I've been to Rome a lot, and I had one of my studying sessions actually in Rome, and I used to go to the library there, and the difference is massive. I'm telling you. Like you'd be sitting down on the table, and you'd have like the socket underneath you. The library is massive. There's a cafe underneath, downstairs. Like most of the times, the library was two floors, if I'm not wrong. You know, you have lockers outside. It seems like a library, but here, unfortunately, the library that we go to, the law library, it's a room. It's a big room with two big long tables and chairs that are stuck to each other. You know,
Okay,
and you get
yeah.
only literally one socket, and we get this. Like I forgot its name, but this thing where you plug it to the socket and it has multiple other sockets.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Um,
like a multi-adapter
yeah,
or something.
yeah, okay, something like that. So we get this, and we only have one of them, so it's only four people can recharge their laptops at the same time, and it's only on one table. So let's say, for example, you're sitting, you have there are two tables. One table has the adapter, and the other doesn't. If you're sitting on the table without the adapter and your laptop dies, you have to go first of all check if any of the sockets are free, plug your laptop, leave it charge, and go sit outside till it charges. It's like you're doing absolutely nothing waiting for your laptop to charge. It's just such a waste of time, you
Okay.
know.
So
So that's
the library
so
situation isn't ideal, but the
yeah,
other facilities, they're actually fine, right? Like teaching
yeah.
facilities.
Everything else is absolutely fine. Like if anyone's considering Messina, I would gold the gold advice I would give them: know how to study at home. Because I at the beginning I was not able to do this. I couldn't focus at home, and I used to suffer. Really, I was always distracted. I was always procrastinating, and because of COVID, forced me to stay home and stay at home, and now I'm able to do this. And since then, I was never bothered. Let's say because I used to get bothered a lot by the fact that I have nowhere to go, nowhere to study, or like the place that I go to study at is, let's say, inconvenient, you know. However, if you're lucky and you find a seat next to the sockets, it's your lucky day because you have the socket, you have AC, you're surrounded by cafes, bars, everything is amazing, and you can stay till 12 a.m. You arrive at 8. It's amazing. It all depends if you get that seat next to the socket.
So
But
speaking, oh, sorry.
again,
Yeah.
to be fully so, I just I want you to imagine something like this because we have three different campuses. So you have the polyclinical. I would count this as a campus. I would count the main campus as a campus, which is the one in the city center, and I would count a campus. It's in an area called Annunziata, and it's basically kind of like a sports center, but it's still a campus. Like it's a sports center with the campus of other faculties. So there you'd find language and literature, you'd find veterinary medicine, you'd find, I don't remember the others, but apart from this, you'd find also the fancy libraries, good ones, like the ones in Sapienza, to be fully honest, and a massive sports center with like a proper ass gym. I'm sorry, I just
No, it's
cursed.
totally okay. Okay, but actually, like this is the next topic I wanted to move on to, which
Oh, okay, so
is
I'm getting ahead of myself.
no, no, no,
Okay, so
not at all.
I'll
It's like a good
finish.
segue into the sports facilities and student activities, canteen facilities. Like the non-teaching stuff. So
Perfect. I'll just finish the part about the library and then I'll jump to this part right away. So again, the reason why this place is amazing is because it's newly built. Okay, it's renovated. It's brilliant, but we don't go there because it's super far away. It's super far away. Like, and if you don't have a car, going there is just it's impossible. It's not impossible. It just takes so long that you just be like, you know what? I just I just go to the
Yeah, it's
library
not
and wait
worth
for my
it.
laptop to charge. Yeah, so that's it. Apart from this, the sports facilities, they're super cool. It's nuts. And then you have this massive gym. Okay, it's fully equipped. You have areas for climbing. You have areas for tennis. You have areas for
Climbing. You
football.
have climbing gyms.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
You
so
have,
good.
I know, right? You also have a swimming pool. And these are the stuff I know about. Imagine the stuff that I don't know about, for example, because there must be something that I don't know about. It's beautiful. We used to go there always to play football because the Erasmus residence is there. So whenever we met people, you always meet people from Erasmus. So whenever we met people from Erasmus and like we arrange a football game, we'd always go and play there because it's a massive field and it's beautiful. And that's the only reason why I know about this because coincidentally I went there and I was like, "Whoa, guys, this is amazing!" Da, da, da. Is there any other thing? And they showed us around, and there's a gym. For example, this gym, if you're someone that works out, you know that in our course you need some credits to like extra credits like outside of the teaching stuff, which is in our course is 8 credits. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but for us it's 8. So for example, if you take the Italian course and from it you get like 3 credits, you're only left with 5 more credits for you to grab.
Oh my God.
You got what?
I no, I just realized I didn't ask you a very important question when we were talking about clinical experience. Okay, let's
Okay, we
finish
can
up
get back
about
to that. It's okay.
let's finish up the sports and canteen facilities, and then we'll finish up with the language requirements.
All right, perfect. So, oh, it's good that I got this up, huh?
Yeah, oh my God, I can't
Okay.
believe I forgot that. That's such an important question. Sorry. Okay,
No,
keep going.
it's totally fine. So, yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so basically, if you go to this gym, you can first of all you pay very little. Okay, it's very equipped, and if you hit a certain number of hours, you can actually get some of these credits knocked out. The credits that you have to get by the end of your 6 years of medicine. So it's like an amazing balance, like something I'm doing anyways, which is like I would be working out on a normal day or whatever, but I would be doing this for a way cheaper price. And when I say way cheaper, it's like dirt cheap. Okay, and in addition to this, I'm getting credits for
That's
it.
crazy. I would love to get credits for going to the gym. We just have to do a bunch
Yeah,
of extra other stuff in the university. That's so much nicer. And also
yeah.
learning
Some
Italian,
stuff,
yeah.
some stuff are really cool, but again, going back to the point that it's really far away. My main problem here is transportation, but I fixed it by getting a bike. So things have been way better since then. Way better. Things are fast because the city is super small. So like it's tiny and it's one. Okay, I have to say this, and then we can move on to the clinical part because this is one of my favorite things about the city. So because Messina is super small and everyone lives in the center, so you have to meet at least someone you know every time you leave your
I
apartment.
hate that.
You hate that? Come on, I think it's super cool. Well, unless you hate the small talks, man. This point is just scary.
I
Okay,
mean,
so
one of the things that drew me to Rome was the fact that it's such a big metropolitan city, and that if I do something on a night out, I like have basically zero chance of running into someone I know. Like I really like separating those lives. Like I
that's
don't.
not true. That's not true. That's not
No.
true. The first time I met you contradicts every time you say everything you're saying right
Okay, but
now.
the fact that we met, okay, for those of you who are watching, 1,000,001 chance we met on the metro. We met on the metro and it was 1,000,001 chance that that happened, but that is the first and the last time something like that has ever happened to me, okay? That was like God's hand playing into it. Like that was just, but like that never happens in Rome because of how big it is.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all I'd say about Messina. I think I gave a nice brief summary of how things are going on here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have
So
anything else to ask me. I would.
no, the last thing I want to ask is some universities lock clinical experience behind having to pass a certificate in Italian. So, like, before you're allowed to interact with patients or go into the wards, you're required to speak a certain level of Italian. Is there such a requirement in Messina?
Yeah. So before passing the third year, you have to actually have a B1 in Italian.
Okay. And
Uh,
how do they test this? And does the university give classes?
huh?
Sorry, my AirPods are running out of battery, so I have to do the switching.
No,
But
no, it's okay. It's okay.
so, are you required to sit an exam before you're allowed in? Like, okay,
Yes, yes, you're like what happens, at least that's what happened with me. So you have one of two options. It's either you know Italian and then you carry out the I don't know the name of the official Italian test, but you carry out the name of the official Italian language test and you get a certificate and you send it to them and then they let you pass. Or you can carry out like in the first year, the university provides a course from A1 to A2, and then the second year it provides a course from A2 to B1. You know, so after every course, so in the first year you get to have an exam, and after the course in the second year you get to have another exam, and when you pass them, you get to have the certificate. The exams are super easy, super chill. It's like they're made
okay.
for you to pass.
Nice.
Okay.
So that's really nice that they provide you with Italian classes. The other thing is there an English certificate requirement? Like when you're enrolling, when you're trying to get started, they don't check anything?
As far as I know, no, because when I applied, I did not give them any kind of certification that I can speak English. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I
Okay.
don't think it's the case. However, I would still say that apart from the fact whether it's mandatory or not, I think it's super helpful. Being able to speak Italian, specifically in Messina, is life changing, really. Because you have to keep in mind, I don't know how the situation is in Rome, but I expect going around as a person that speaks English and does not speak Italian is way easier than here because you really don't. People here do really don't speak English. Like for you
They
to
don't
get
speak
around.
English here either, don't worry.
Uh, okay, so we're in the same boat, but you know they're just nice. So you walk in, you don't know what you want to say, you don't know what's going on. You just start trying to, it's like a normal human interaction, but with hands. It's like I want salt. Where do I find salt? You get me?
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
you keep doing stuff with your hands, maybe go salt based style on them. I don't like, but the but
Speaking in meme.
but the point is, like in general, I think being able to speak the language is life changing. Apart from this as well, actually, you will need it in the words, because sometimes, and this happened to me personally. One time we were having a vascular surgery, and then the prof just came, and it was me and other four Italians. Well, now I can speak the language, so it's I'm okay with this. So as soon as he walked in, he looked at all of us. He goes like, "You're all Italian." And then they all looked at me, and then I just looked at him. I was like, "Oh, it's okay. I can like if you want to speak in Italian, it's okay." And I just want to say it's amazing. It's way better because um, so the prof himself he can speak English, but not necessarily everyone with him in the operating room is able of speaking English. So when you think of the nurses, when you think of other surgeons helping him, stuff like that, okay? So because this was the first time and the only time this happened to me that I had a whole clinical activity in Italian. So everyone contributes, and the experience is just way better. So the prof himself is explaining something, while someone else from behind, that's another surgeon that's like helping him with the surgery, would explain something else that he noticed, maybe on an echocardiograph or whatever, like I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, but the experience if it's all in Italian, it's like a multi kind of it's like I have a multi lecture from several professors, and it's brilliant, brilliant. Well, on the other hand, if it's just some only one person explaining to you because he's the only person that can speak English, it's kind of limited, because he just grabs you and then he's the only one talking to you. So if there's something that's not on his mind and this is normal to happen, you will not know about it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
And one
sorry. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. Another time it happened with me when one time I was having a dermatology clinical activity, and then I had to check at some point, because they throw you underneath the train, they just leave you. Like I was walking around with a resident, and at some point we were having a clinical inspection of one of the patients, and then he checks everything with the dermatoscope, with it's like a magnifying glass that dermatologists use. And then at some point, he just, he gave it to me and he goes like, look. you know. And I started looking, and of course, I'm trying to figure out what am I looking at. And then the patient started talking to me. Okay, she was like, "Is everything okay?" At this point, it would be nice to reply back and not make her feel that she's in the hands of someone that doesn't know the language. So, like, all I'm trying to say is that in general, learning Italian is really beneficial.
Yeah, almost every student we talk to says the exact same thing, and it's always the number one piece of advice I give is start learning Italian now. Even if you don't get in with the IMAT and you try again next year, you will not regret starting to learn Italian as early as you can.
Yeah. I completely agree with this. I completely agree with this.
Yeah.
And something personally that I experienced is that when I don't study, because some people come with the mentality that because I'm gonna live here, so I'm gonna just like learn it, like street learn it. I don't think it works this way. I
No,
think you
not
really have to
fast
study.
enough. Definitely not fast
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking for over 1 hour, and we haven't even moved on to part 2 of the interview, so I'm going to end part 1 here. This was all about the university life, and in part 2 we're going to talk about the city, which I think is the more important part to consider for prospective students. But yeah, I'm going to end the first recording here, so I don't know if you want to wave goodbye to people. Yeah.
Goodbye. I'll see you in the second part.
You better watch the second part. It's the important part. Okay.